How's it going, guys? I'm here to review Suicide Squad 2016.
Is this the real life?
Let me out of here, Donald, please.
Let me have you, partner!
Is this just fantasy?
Come on!
Caught in a landslide. No, it's
Suicide Squad stars Jared Leto as Joker, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Will Smith as Deadshot, and more characters such as Killer Croc, El Diablo, Katana, the Enchantress, Amanda Waller, Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang. All these characters are here. So this is the third film in the DC Extended Universe or DC Cinematic Universe, and this time this film's a little different than the last two movies in the DC Universe. Of course, you had Man of Steel and then Batman v Superman. Now, yeah, it's kind of weird because I like how DC movies doesn't do their shit in order. If you think about it, Man of Steel was the first one to kick off, which was a good start. They should have done a Batman solo movie, and then a Wonder Woman solo movie, and a Flash solo movie, and then Justice League or whatever, right? Just focus all the solo movies first, and then the Justice League, and after Justice League, then you can focus on other stuff, including Suicide Squad. So, for Suicide Squad being the third film in the whole DC Extended Universe, it's a little bit weird, and not only just that, it's just out of place, and you can tell they're just trying to rush as many as team comic book movie, you can tell DC was trying to compete with Marvel because Marvel was successful with the Avengers. So DC's like, all right, we need to make movies with so many characters in it, so that's why we're gonna have Suicide Squad, Justice League, Batman v Superman. We're gonna throw in all these characters to kick off this whole DC cinematic universe, which, like I said, I feel like they're rushing because they should have focused on each of these characters individually, their own solo films to build up the team, kind of like what Marvel did with how their solo movie started off in Phase 1 and with the Avengers, but that's just my opinion. This film begins of how each villain, such as Harley Quinn, Joker, Killer Croc, El Diablo, all these villains, it starts off how they got pretty much captured and went to a prison for metahumans, of course, sponsored by the government. And Amanda Waller wants to use each of these so-called, supervillains, so that way she could try to force them to do good, but not really at the same time. Just basically forcing them to do things against their will, because that's what she's good at. So the whole purpose of why she's building a team is because the government never knows if the next Superman is going to be evil. So of course, in case of that happens, Amanda Waller wants to build a team of supervillains to try to force them to do some good. And of course, and with one of the villains named Enchantress is like a witch, a sorcerer, and when she breaks free from Waller's control or command, she then tries the Enchantress is like I said, it's like a celestial, ancient witch, and she's also an ancient god. So she's trying to free her brother, because I guess she has a brother. So there are two of them are gods to the humans thousands of years ago, and they have a diabolical plan to rule over humans and mankind, pretty much take over the planet like how they did in the ancient times. So now Amanda Waller wants to assign the Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad, force them to go in there, try to save herself and many people, and to destroy Enchantress. And of course, these villains, they don't want to help her out because they just want to break free. They want their freedom. They want some years off their sentence.
I want to assemble a task force of the most dangerous people on the planet.
They're bad guys. Worst of the worst.
too late.
Open the gate!
My time has come. Send shivers down my spine.
Was this?
But if they don't cooperate, they won't get all the shit that they want. They won't get a freedom. They won't get years off their sentence. Even Will Smith, who plays Deadshot, he's pretty much one of the main focuses in this movie. Same thing with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. He wants, basically, he's not he's a villain. he does bad things, but he's not all out a bad guy because he's a father and he has a daughter, and he will do anything for his daughter to see her again. So that's why, basically, he's doing this for her, so that way he can see her again. And of course, the movie does go deep with each of these characters' origins, like El Diablo burns his whole family down unintentionally, and he doesn't want to be part of No Fight anymore. He's broken down. Of course, they go deep with Harley Quinn's origin, how she met Joker, how she fell in love with Joker, and how she became Harley Quinn. And it tells you how, like, Killer Croc and all the other villains get captured by Batman, which is really cool. Ben Affleck as Batman does return in this movie for like a cameo, and Ezra Miller's The Flash shows up to capture Captain Boomerang and send him to prison. They have a detonator. They have a bomb implanted in their heads and their necks, so that way if they don't do what they asked, or if they try to escape, Amanda Waller has a detonator that will blow their heads off, pretty much. That's how she's forcing this team to do some stuff against their will, pretty much. So that's the plot in a nutshell. The Suicide Squad is forced to stop the Enchantress from destroying this planet, and of course you have a little side story of Joker trying to save Harley Quinn from the Blackgate prison. So, featuring Batman and the Flash, of course, in this movie. So what did I think about this movie? This movie, it's alright. It's okay. It's not the best movie I've seen. It's certainly like not one of the best comic book movies I've seen. Like when I saw the trailers and the TV spots and all the good ads before this movie came out, I was so hyped. I was so excited. And when I watched the movie for the first time in theaters, I was kind of disappointed. I was kind of it was underwhelming. I was disappointed, but the more times I watched it, including the extended cut, which was like 15 more minutes, I grew to appreciate this movie even more. It's still not like... I still wish this movie could have been better, but I still appreciate for what it is, or what I've got, pretty much.
Hi, boys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Deadshot. Guy shoots people. He's a crocodile, and he eats people. Burns people. You're possessed by a witch, and she's just crazy.
So while I say Suicide Squad is better than Birds of Prey, well, I don't know, because both of these movies are good in their own way, and both of these movies are kind of dull in their own way, because Suicide Squad is PG-13, Birds of Prey is rated R. They both have different tones, but yet in the same time, it does have similar tones. Suicide Squad is more straight to the point, and not only just that, it's more fun to watch, if that makes sense, while Birds of Prey, it takes time with their characters in Birds of Prey, but the plot for that movie wasn't executed that well. Because in my other review, when I reviewed Birds of Prey, I thought it was just alright. But this movie is the same thing. It's just alright. Like, they're both kind of the same to me. Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. Like, even though they're the same, they're both different in their own way. But they're still alright. Because they're still not like one of the greatest movies I ever seen. Which is kind of unfortunate because... Like I said, when I saw those trailers and TV spots for this movie, I was hoping to be one of the best DC movies ever, because how it was presented, how they advertised it, looked like it was going to be one of the best DC movies of all time. But like I said, I was just a little let down when I watched it in theaters. But like I said, there are some good things about it. Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is great. She is an absolute, she's pretty much the best part in this whole movie. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. I can't think of anyone else who can play Harley Quinn. She is phenomenal in this movie. Will Smith as Deadshot. Deadshot is pretty cool. Will Smith did a good job. I feel like Will Smith was still being Will Smith, if that makes sense. Like, he plays like the same type of character, but I mean, it's whatever. He still did good as Deadshot. But as for the other villains, like such as Killer Croc, El Diablo, Captain Boomerang, Slipknot. That motherfucker died in 2 seconds anyways. And Enchantress. Enchantress was kind of a weak villain. She was the weak main villain, and she was kind of cheesy. She had a generic goal to take over the world. she just felt so bland and generic, and I don't know, like the stuff she says, her lines, her speeches, her quotes, it just comes off as cheesy. It's just her character is really not that cool, to be honest with you. I mean, the actress who plays her, she's cool. She does a well job playing Enchantress, but like just the character alone, I just wasn't feeling. Like they should have got like a better villain for this movie. They should have made Joker the main villain, or if you really wanted Joker as the side character in this movie, fine, then just put any villain as the main villain except for Enchantress. They could have done the Riddler just like in the Batman Assault on Arkham animated movie. That could have worked too. So yeah, some of the villains, like I said, they're kind of one-dimensional in this movie. There are some other regular characters that are kind of one-dimensional too, but I didn't know Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son, was in this movie. That was pretty cool. Jared Leto's Joker, at first, here's the thing with Jared Leto's Joker. He does all right, because I can tell Jared Leto's trying to do his own take of the Joker. He's trying to do his own thing. But to me, sometimes it just comes off as like Ace Ventura, like Jim Carrey vibes, or it's just, I don't know. It's a little too wacky for me, and I prefer either Heath Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix's Joker over Jared Leto's. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying he's the worst Joker of all time. Don't get me wrong. He still did good in his own way, but it's just a Joker I wasn't feeling in my own taste. I mean, it's just, I just didn't really like how he looked too. I think he looked better in Skrillex's music video for Purple Lamborghini featuring Rick Ross. So he looked cooler in that music video. Like he had the suit and tie, he had the black, like a black suit and tie. He didn't have the crazy face tattoos. He was like, his skin, his clown makeup was more like pale, like white, and his hair was more green. He just looked better in the music video. In this movie, he looked alright. It's just I did not dig the SoundCloud rapper look of Joker. So Jared Leto, he did good. Don't get me wrong, he did good at what he can. But let's see how he does with Morbius Vampire, Morbius the Living Vampire. See how that goes with the Spider-Man universe. But I will say Jared Leto did redeem himself a little bit with, who am I kidding a little bit? He made like the character Joker 10 times better in his own version in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh my god, he totally like looked better in that. Joker looked better in that movie. He was darker. Totally redeemed that character from this movie, Suicide Squad. Because this movie, he was kind of like, but in Zack Snyder's Justice League, way better, in my opinion.
What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. It's the voices. I'm kidding. That's not what they really said.
This is the deal. You're going somewhere very bad.
Dude, the soundtrack for this movie is amazing. Like, one of the best soundtracks ever that I've ever heard. Like, one of the best soundtrack to a movie, period. The soundtrack is so good that it's, I think, literally the best part in this movie is the soundtrack. I actually bought the album with a CD, of course, and hopefully I can get it on vinyl record. But yes, the album, the Suicide Squad album / soundtrack is amazing. It has a lot of good songs featuring Imagine Dragons, Lil Wayne, Logic, G-Eazy, Skrillex, Rick Ross, Eminem, Grace, just you name it. Like all these talented music artists. So yeah.
Let's go save the world.
I can't wait to show you my toys.
Mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, let me go.
Let's do something fun.
This movie was alright, could have been better. Some dull moments, some like good moments. The plot just could have been executed better. It was just a little cheesy, and some of the characters felt one-dimensional. The main villain could have been cooler. Just this whole movie just could have been executed a little bit better. But if you stayed after the credits, Bruce Wayne, played by Ben Affleck, shows up too. He asks Amanda Waller to give him the files for the Justice League teammates, such as Ezra Miller's The Flash and Jason Momoa's Aquaman. And so, yeah, you can tell they were setting up for Justice League, which that piece of shit version that came out in 2017, that next year. But thankfully, we got the Zack Snyder cut this year, which is by far one of the best DC movies ever made. But I'll get to that review later. So that was my quick review of Suicide Squad. I would rate this movie a 6 out of 10. It could have been better. It was alright, but I enjoyed it for what it is. It's just a decent DC movie. Not one of the best DC movies I've seen, but it's pretty decent. Please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Seriously, the hell's wrong with you people?
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
Nothing really matters.